right, we're into lesson 31, book 3, beginning rock guitar. And here's where we get into bending strings. And this is an exercise which will help develop your bending technique as well as your ear to be able to hear what you're bending to. And I should mention, if you look on the page, you'll see notes that are normal notes, and then you'll see a note in parentheses. So when we bend a note, the way I notate things, and this is not the standard way in a lot of published books in tablature lead guitar books, where they have a slur mark that goes to, and then the word half or full, or a half sign and then full. I don't care for that one bit because it's sort of like you're bending into nothing, and it's notated whether you're doing a half step or a whole step bend. The way I do it is the way I remember Steve Vai doing it in his tablatures of Eric Clapton. I remember one in particular in a Guitar Magazine where he did Crossroads, Eric Clapton with Cream. And the way he notated bends was like if you're bending from the 10th fret to the pitch of the 12th fret, he would have a 10 slurring into a 12, but the 12 is in parentheses. So I notate the bent pitches in parentheses. And I think it's a easier way to read because you actually see a real note rather than just a slur mark into space, and it shows you the note that you're bending to. So if I'm bending from the 4th fret and doing a half step to the 5th fret, I'll be playing the 4th fret, but it'll show a slur mark to a 5 in parentheses. I just want to be clear about the notation. And that's the way I do it in my tablatures, even the very advanced tablature. Like I have actually did my own transcription of Crossroads, and there's a lot of bent notes in parentheses, and that's the way I like to do it. Okay? So you might disagree, and the rest of the world, like the published books, seem to disagree. But that's the way I like to do it. Anyway, so we're doing, we're way up on the 15th fret of the 3rd string, and we're going to do the 3rd string all the way down to the 2nd fret, and then the 2nd string from the 15th fret down to the 2nd fret, which is a little more challenging to bend than the 3rd string. 3rd string's easiest, and then the 1st string is the most challenging. And so, the way it works, and you can see in the notation, I got 15, 14, 15. And I should mention that we're breaking a lot of the rules that we normally, in hand position, that we normally do. Normally we have 4 fingers to 4 frets. The thumb is flat behind the neck. Here we're hooking the thumb over the neck, and we're angling the hand. We're not parallel to the neck because it's really hard to bend parallel. You can do little bends, but I would generally break the rules. So we're kind of palming the neck. We're putting the neck sort of in between the thumb and the forefinger and approaching the neck this way rather than this way. And so the fingers are now bunched like a bunch of bananas, and they're kind of angling. They're kind of catty corner. And so the first part at the 15th fret, you'll play 15 with the 3rd finger, 14 with the 2nd finger, and back to the 15, and then we're going to plant the pick on the 4th beat. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're planting on 4. That's so we can learn to cut off bends cleanly, though we're not bending yet. We do that, and then we shift the 3rd finger, 15 to 14, and bend up to the pitch that we remembered 15 sounding like. So it is kind of an ear training exercise. And also, I forgot to plant the pick, but I'll do it. And I'm just going to go all the way through down to the second fret. You can try it with me, okay? Ready, go. 15, 14, 15, plant. And then 15, shift, bend, plant. And then 14, 13, 14, plant. 14, 13, bend, plant. Now I'm going to quit talking so you can just listen. Use your wrist when you bend. I said I was going to quit talking, but if I think of things, don't just push with the fingers. Push the string with the muscles in your wrist. Squeeze with the thumb a little bit. Play right up to the frets. The fret can be kind of a groove when you're bending strings. So bend right into the fret. Going very deliberately and slow for now. Plant. Shift, bend, plant. Plant. Shift, bend, plant. When you shift, shift the whole plate of spaghetti. Move your thumb, your hand, your wrist, arm, almost at the end of the third string. Be as mechanical as you can. Don't bend too gradually. Bend quickly like that, okay? So that's the hardest one, the second fret of the third string. So now we're going to the second string and doing the same thing. So it's kind of boring to listen to. If you want to run people out of the room that you're in, do these exercises. They'll leave probably within a couple of minutes, okay? Plant. Second string is going to be a little more challenging, but not too bad, really. Oh, sorry. Last one. Like I say, when you bend very mechanically and just bend right up to the pitch that you remember hearing when you fret them. So we're on the first string. Ready, go. Planting the pick helps cut the bend off at the top of the bend. which we often do. Not all the time. Last one. There's more though. Okay. All right. So that's a basic workout. It's a good workout. If you find that your fingers are getting sore or whatever, stop. You might have to build up your endurance and your stamina. And I've got calluses on my fingertips that are kind of like thick leather, so occasionally they come off, but I wouldn't worry about it. Your fingers might be really sensitive at first. But now the next thing, and this is the most common kind of bend, half steps are actually not as common, but they're easier to do than whole step bends. Like if I'm doing a pentatonic scale in the key of D, and I'm bending up to that next note, which is the first finger note on the second string, but I'm bending the third finger up to that pitch, that's a whole step. Very common. And also on the second string, I'm bending up to the first finger pitch. I might be a little out of tune on the first string, so it's like and often we hit that after a bend, like I didn't know that when I was young and I did stuff like this. I would bend and hit the same note, which you do occasionally, but often it's the next string, like and I'm blocking with the pick a little bit. So that's whole step bends, much more common, I would say, than half step bends, though you do a little of both. I mean, you can't say that you never do half step bends. You do. But anyway, the same exercise can be adapted, and I don't have it written in the book, but you want to also do whole step bends, and you would start at the 14th fret, and you would play 14, 12, 14, plant, and then shift to 12, and then bend up to the pitch of 14. So I'll do that again. You could try it with me. I'm going to go all the way down to the second fret on the third string. Ready, go. Plant, plant. Okay, and then we're going to do it on the second string. I forgot to mention now with whole step bends especially, you're pushing the string into the other strings a lot more than you were doing with a half step bend. And what I do is I compensate with my first finger by flattening it a little bit so it's kind of pushing the next string out of the way of the bend. And it takes a little playing around with it to get used to doing that. But it's not good to bend a string right against the next string. And some people will bend under the next string. I don't recommend that. I think it looks funny and I mean you can make more noise trying to get out from under the string. It's just not worth the effort. I don't recommend it. There might be some really good guitar players that do that though. I've seen that technique, and I tried it when I was a teen. I tried everything, and I came up with the thing about the first finger pushing the other ones out of the way to reduce noise. Sometimes you'll get a little kind of a accidental pull off, and you know I still get those extra noises occasionally, but with the right hand you can mute by planting or with the back of your thumb mute the other strings, and it helps. But let's get on with it. So we're on the second string, 14th fret. Ready, go. Plant, shift, bend, plant, plant, shift, plant. Bend quickly and concisely. And with the whole step bends, you really find that you have to use your wrist. You don't want to just use finger muscles. Fingers are not strong enough, especially to bend quickly. Okay, first string. Ready, go. This is the hardest one to bend. Plant, shift, bend. Last one, hardest one, second fret. Sometimes I'll hold them a little longer just to hear it ring, nice soaring kind of bend. And, here we're just bending up and cutting the note off. Sometimes we'll bend back down. Sometimes you might pre-bend and you get that sighing figure. It's kind of like a kitten purring, like meow, meow. George Harrison did that a lot, where he would only do a down bend. Listen to the solo in the song "Something." It's one of the most beautiful rock guitar solos ever done. It's not fast notes, but very articulate, not easy to play. So it's like I can't remember where it is. There it is. So I did two in a row, and you have to kind of prep those bends in a microsecond, and then just do a downward bend. Okay, so enjoy these exercises. Do them every day. It takes a while to get through them, You could get into them gradually and maybe just do the third string for a while. Um, and then in the next lesson, we're going to do a rockabilly riff where we're not pushing, we're pulling the bends. If you noticed in these exercises, these warm ups, we were only pushing, which is actually harder to do than pulling. Pulling will be easier. So enjoy. Please comment if you have any comments, and subscribe and like, and give me a hug, whatever, okay? So I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, John Hedger Guitar Studio. Thank you so much.